Brianna Johnson pressed her nose against the airplane window and smiled so big her cheeks hurt. Below her, the airport looked like a toy town with tiny cars racing around like ants. Her heart beat fast with excitement. Today was special. Today was different from every other day in her 28 years of life. She was sitting in seat 2A, first class. Brianna ran her hand across the soft leather seat. It felt like butter under her fingers. She had dreamed about this moment since she was a little girl growing up in a small town in Georgia. Back then, her family didn't have much money. Her mama worked 2 jobs. Her daddy fixed cars in their driveway until his hands were black with oil. But Brianna had studied hard. Really, really hard. She stayed up late doing homework, while other kids played outside. She read books under her blanket with a flashlight when she was supposed to be sleeping. She got good grades, won a scholarship to college, and worked her way up in a big marketing company in Atlanta. Now she was flying to California for an important business conference. Her boss had paid for the first-class ticket. "You earned it," he had said. Brianna touched the armrest button, and her seat leaned back smoothly. She giggled. There was so much leg room. A flight attendant came by with warm cookies on a silver tray. "Would you like one, miss?" the attendant asked with a kind smile. "Yes, please." Brianna took a cookie. It was still warm and smelled like heaven. Everything felt like a dream. A wonderful, amazing dream. Then she heard a commotion near the front of the plane. "Sir, your seat is in the back. This is first class," a flight attendant was saying. Her voice was not mean, but it was firm. Brianna looked up. An elderly man stood in the aisle. He was very old, maybe 80 or 90 years. His hair was white like snow. His hands shook as he gripped a wooden cane. He wore a blue blazer that looked old but clean. On the blazer was a patch with an eagle and stars. A military patch. This man had been a soldier. "I'm sorry," the old man said quietly. His voice was soft and tired. "My grandson bought me a ticket. He said it was first class. He wanted me to be comfortable." The flight attendant checked her computer screen. She shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. Your ticket shows seat 34B. That's an economy." The old man's shoulders dropped. He looked so sad, so disappointed. "Maybe my grandson made a mistake," he whispered. "He tries so hard to take care of me." Behind him, other passengers were getting impatient. They wanted to get to their seats. A man in a business suit huffed loudly. A woman rolled her eyes. Brianna watched the elderly veteran start to turn around. He shuffled slowly, leaning heavy on his cane. Each step looked like it hurt him. His legs barely worked right. Something twisted in Brianna's heart. She thought about her own grandfather who had died when she was 12. He had fought in a war too. He used to tell her stories about being brave, about helping people, about doing the right thing even when it was hard. What would Grandpa do, she wondered. She knew the answer right away. Brianna stood up fast. Her heart pounded. Her hands felt sweaty. "Excuse me," she called out. "Excuse me, sir." Everyone turned to look at her. The old veteran stopped. The flight attendant raised her eyebrows. All the other passengers stared. Brianna walked down the aisle toward the old man. Up close, she could see his eyes were watery and blue. He had wrinkles all over his face, each one probably holding a story. The military patch on his blazer said Colonel and showed medals underneath. This man had served his country. He had probably been through things she couldn't imagine. "Sir," Brianna said gently, "would you like to trade seats with me? You can have my first-class seat. I'll take yours in the back." The whole airplane went quiet. The old veteran stared at her. His mouth opened, but no words came out. "Are you sure?" he finally whispered. "That's first class. That's a very nice seat." Brianna smiled. "I'm sure. You should be comfortable. You've earned it more than I have." Tears filled the old man's eyes. One tear rolled down his wrinkled cheek. "Young lady," he said, his voice cracking, "I don't know what to say." "That's so kind. So very, very kind." "You don't have to say anything," Brianna told him. She picked up her purse and her bag from the overhead bin. "Just enjoy the flight." The flight attendant looked shocked. Then she smiled the biggest, warmest smile. "That's very generous of you, miss," she said softly. Other passengers started whispering. Some of them looked amazed. A few people clapped quietly. A woman with a baby was crying happy tears. Brianna helped the old veteran sit down in seat 2A. He lowered himself slowly, carefully. When he finally settled into the soft leather seat, he let out a long breath. Relief washed over his face. "Thank you," he said again. "Thank you so much. What's your name?" "Brianna Johnson, sir." "I'm Colonel James Patterson," he said. He reached out his shaking hand. Brianna shook it gently. His hand felt paper-thin and cold, but his grip was still strong. "Thank you, Brianna Johnson," Colonel Patterson said. "You have no idea what this means to me." Brianna smiled. "Have a good flight, Colonel." Then she walked all the way to the back of the plane. Seat 34B was between two very large men. One was snoring, already even though the plane hadn't taken off yet. The other was eating chips loudly. There was barely any room. Her knees pressed against the seat in front of her. She could smell someone's tuna sandwich. It was nothing like first class. But Brianna didn't feel sad. She felt warm inside. She felt good. She felt like she had done something right. As the plane began to move down the runway, Brianna closed her eyes. She thought about the happy look on Colonel Patterson's face. That look was worth more than a fancy seat. She didn't know it yet, but that one small choice was about to change her life forever. The plane lifted into the sky, carrying Brianna toward a future she could never have imagined. Brianna tried to get comfortable in seat 34B, but it was impossible. The man on her left was huge. His elbow kept poking into her side. Every time he moved, she got squished against the middle armrest. The man on her right smelled like onions and kept coughing without covering his mouth. Her knees pressed hard against the seat in front of her. A baby 3 rows up was crying loudly. Someone's phone kept beeping even though the flight attendant had said to turn them off. This was nothing like the peaceful, roomy first-class seat she had given away. But every time Brianna started to feel sorry for herself, she thought about Colonel Patterson's face, that grateful smile, those tears in his eyes, the way his whole body had relaxed when he sat down in that comfortable seat. It made her feel warm inside. "I did a good thing," she whispered to herself. "That's what matters." An hour passed. Brianna tried to read a book on her phone, but the man next to her kept leaning over to see what she was reading. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep, but it was too noisy and cramped. Then she felt a tap on her shoulder. Brianna opened her eyes. A flight attendant stood in the aisle. Not just any flight attendant, the same woman who had been working in first class. She was holding something white in her hand. "Miss Johnson?" the attendant said quietly. "Yes." The flight attendant smiled. Her eyes looked shiny, like she might cry. "The gentleman you gave your seat to ask me to bring you this." She handed Brianna a white napkin. It was folded carefully. On the outside, someone had written Brianna Johnson in shaky blue pen. "What is it?" Brianna asked. "He asked me to give it to you," the attendant said. "He said it was important." Brianna took the napkin. It felt light in her hands. The attendant walked away, but she kept looking back at Brianna with a strange smile. Brianna carefully unfolded the napkin. Inside, written in that same shaky handwriting, was a letter. The words were small and cramped, like the person writing them had a lot to say and was trying to fit it all on one napkin. Brianna's hand started to shake as she began to read. "Dear Brianna, I hope you don't mind me writing to you like this. My hands shake now, so my writing isn't very pretty anymore. But I needed to tell you something important. I'm 87 years old. I served in the military for 42 years. I've been to wars. I've seen terrible things and beautiful things. I've met presidents and prisoners, rich people and poor people, kind souls and cruel ones. In all those years, I don't think anyone has ever done something as purely kind as what you did today. You see, my grandson did buy me a first-class ticket. He saved up his money for 6 months. But last week, I got very sick. I had to go to the hospital. The medical bills were enormous. My grandson used the money he had saved for my ticket to help pay those bills. He bought me a cheaper ticket instead. He felt so bad about it. He cried when he told me. He's a good boy. I told him it was fine. I told him the back of the plane was just as good as the front. But truthfully, my body hurts all the time now. My legs don't work right. My back aches. Sitting in cramped spaces is very painful for me. I was trying to be brave about it. But when you offered me your seat, I almost couldn't believe it. I thought maybe I was dreaming. You gave up your comfort for a complete stranger. An old man you didn't know. You didn't have to do that. Nobody would have blamed you if you had stayed in your nice seat. But you did it anyway. My wife passed away 2 years ago. Her name was Dorothy. She was the kindest person I ever knew. Before she died, she made me promise something. She said, "James, if you ever see someone doing real kindness in this world, you help them, you lift them up, you show them their goodness matters." Brianna, I want to honor my Dorothy's wish. I want to honor what you did today. I can't pay you back with words. Words aren't enough. So I'm going to do something else. Something I think you'll like. Something that will help you the way you helped me. Just wait. You'll see soon. Very soon. Thank you for reminding an old man that goodness still exists in this world. Thank you for making my last years a little brighter. With all my gratitude, Colonel James Patterson. Brianna's vision went blurry. Tears filled her eyes and spilled down her cheeks. She tried to wipe them away, but more kept coming. The man next to her looked concerned. "Are you okay, miss?" Brianna nodded, but she couldn't speak. Her throat felt tight. She read the letter again. And then again. What did he mean? What was he going to do? The letter said something that will help you, and you'll see soon. What could an 87-year-old veteran possibly do for her? Brianna folded the napkin carefully and put it in her purse. She pressed it against her heart. Her mind raced with questions. Who was Colonel Patterson really? What had his life been like? What had he done in all those years of service? And what could he possibly give her that would matter? She didn't need anything. She had a good job, a nice apartment, enough money to pay her bills. She had given him her seat because it was the right thing to do, not because she wanted something back. But something in his words touched her deeply. The way he wrote about his wife Dorothy. The way he said Brianna's kindness had made his last years brighter. That phrase stuck in her mind. His last years. Was he sick? Was he dying? More tears came. Brianna felt overwhelmed by emotions she couldn't name. Gratitude, sadness, wonder, hope, confusion, all mixed together in her chest like a storm. The rest of the flight felt like a dream. Brianna barely noticed the cramped seat anymore. She didn't care about the man's elbow in her side, or the crying baby, or the smell of tuna sandwiches. All she could think about was a napkin in her purse and the words written on it. When the plane finally landed in California, Brianna gathered her things slowly. She watched as passengers rushed to get off the plane. Everyone was in such a hurry. She waited until almost everyone had left. Then she walked down the aisle toward the front. Colonel Patterson was still there, talking to the flight attendant. When he saw Brianna, his face lit up. "Brianna," he said. His voice was stronger than before. "Did you get my note?" "I did," Brianna said softly. "Thank you for writing it. It meant so much to me. But you didn't have to." The colonel held up his shaking hand. "Yes, I did. And I meant every word. Check your email when you get a chance. Sometime soon. Maybe tonight." "My email?" Brianna asked, confused. "But I didn't give you my..." The colonel smiled mysteriously. "I have my ways. I'm old, but I'm not helpless. Now go on. You have a conference to get to. Go change the world, Brianna Johnson." He winked at her. Brianna wanted to ask more questions, but the flight attendant was waiting to help the colonel off the plane. He waved goodbye to her as he shuffled slowly toward the door. Brianna walked off the plane in a daze. The California sun hit her face as she entered the airport terminal. People rushed past her in every direction. Voices echoed. Announcements blared over speakers. But Brianna felt like she was walking in slow motion. She kept thinking about the colonel's last words. Check your email. What could possibly be in her email? Her heart beat faster. Her hands felt sweaty. Something big was about to happen. She could feel it in her bones. Brianna found a quiet corner near her baggage claim. She sat down on a bench and pulled out her phone. Her hands shook as she opened her email app. She had 47 new messages. Most were spam or work emails. She scrolled through them quickly, looking for something from Colonel Patterson. Then she saw it. An email from an address she didn't recognize. The subject line made her heart stop. For Brianna Johnson, a gift from Colonel James Patterson and Dorothy Patterson. Brianna's breath caught in her throat. Her finger hovered over the email. She was almost afraid to open it. She closed her eyes, said a little prayer, took a deep breath. Then she tapped the email. What she read next would change everything. Brianna stared at her phone screen. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear in her ears. The email from Colonel Patterson was open. She began to read. Dear Brianna Johnson, you don't know me, but I know you. Or rather, I know what kind of person you are. I learned everything I needed to know about you in 5 minutes on an airplane. My name is Colonel James Patterson, United States Army, retired. I served my country for 42 years. During that time, I was fortunate enough to save money and invest wisely. My late wife Dorothy and I never had children. So we always planned to use our resources to help young people who showed exceptional character. Dorothy passed away 2 years ago, but before she died, we created a fund. A special fund to help people like you. People who do good things without expecting anything in return. Today, you gave up something valuable for a stranger. You showed compassion when no one was watching. You saw an old man who needed help, and you didn't hesitate. That's rare. That's precious. That's exactly the kind of person my Dorothy wanted us to help. So here's what I'm going to do for you, Brianna Johnson. I'm giving you a full scholarship to Harvard Business School's Executive Leadership Program. I made some calls during the flight. Yes, even at 87, I still have connections. I spoke to the dean. I told him about you. I sent him information about your background, your work, your achievements. He was impressed. The program starts in 3 months. It's worth $120,000. Everything is paid for: tuition, books, housing, food. Everything. All you have to do is say yes. This is my gift to you. This is how I honor my Dorothy's memory. This is how I thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. Please don't refuse. This isn't charity. You earned this the moment you stood up and gave away your seat. You earned this by being exactly who you are. Call the number below to accept. Someone will be waiting to hear from you. Change the world, Brianna. I know you will. With deep gratitude. Colonel James Patterson. P.S. Dorothy would have loved you. The phone slipped from Brianna's hands and fell onto her lap. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She couldn't move. Harvard Business School. Executive Leadership Program. $120,000. Fully paid. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen. Not to girls from small towns in Georgia. Not to people who worked hard and kept their heads down and tried to be good. This was the kind of thing that happened in movies, in fairy tales, not in real life. But there it was, right on her screen. An email with a phone number and everything. Brianna's hand shook as she picked up her phone again. She read the email 3 more times, 4 times, 5 times. Each time, the words were still there. Tears streamed down her face. People walking past her in the airport stared, but she didn't care. Harvard Business School had always been her dream, the impossible dream. The dream she had stopped letting herself dream because it seemed too big, too expensive, too far away. She had applied once. 3 years ago, she had been rejected. The letter had said she was promising but needed more executive experience. She had cried for 2 days. After that, she had put the dream in a box in her mind and locked it away. Maybe someday, she had told herself. But someday felt like never. And now it was real. Before we continue with this incredible moment, if you're loving Brianna's story, please hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe so you never miss stories about kindness that change lives. Brianna stood up on shaky legs. She walked to a quiet corner of the airport, away from the crowds. She needed to hear this again. She needed to make sure it was real. She dialed the number in the email. A woman answered on the second ring. Patterson Foundation, this is Margaret speaking. Hello, Brianna stammered. My name is Brianna Johnson. I received an email from Colonel Patterson about a scholarship. Oh, Brianna. The woman's voice was warm and excited. Yes, we've been waiting for your call. The colonel told us all about what you did on the plane today. That was beautiful. Just beautiful. Is this real? Brianna whispered. This is really happening? It's absolutely real, Margaret said. Colonel Patterson has already wired the funds. We've been in touch with Harvard. Everything is arranged. All we need is your acceptance. Brianna sat down on the floor. Her legs couldn't hold her up anymore. I don't understand, she said, crying. Why would he do this for me? I just gave him a seat. That's all. Just a seat. Margaret's voice grew soft. Honey, you gave him more than a seat. You gave him dignity. You gave him respect. You showed him that his service mattered, that he mattered. In a world that often forgets about elderly veterans, you saw him, really saw him. Brianna sobbed, big, heaving sobs that came from deep in her chest. The colonel and his wife spent their whole lives looking for people like you, Margaret continued. People with kind hearts and strong character. They wanted to invest in goodness. And today they found you. I don't know what to say, Brianna whispered. Say yes, Margaret said simply. Say yes, and then go do wonderful things with this opportunity. That's all the colonel wants. Make Dorothy proud. Brianna wiped her eyes. She took a deep breath. Yes, she said. Her voice grew stronger. Yes, I accept, and I promise I'll work hard. I'll make them proud. I'll use this to help other people. I'll pay it forward, just like Dorothy wanted. That's exactly what we hoped you'd say, Margaret said warmly. Welcome to the Patterson Foundation family. Brianna, we'll send you all the details tomorrow. Congratulations. When Brianna hung up, she sat on the airport floor for a long time. People walked around her, rolling their suitcases, rushing to their gates, talking on their phones. Nobody knew that her life had just changed forever. Nobody knew that 5 minutes of kindness on an airplane had opened a door she thought was locked forever. Brianna pulled out the napkin from her purse. She looked at Colonel Patterson's shaky handwriting one more time. Thank you, she whispered to the napkin. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Dorothy. I won't let you down. She stood up slowly, wiped her face, straightened her shoulders. The conference she was supposed to attend suddenly seemed less important. Everything seemed different now. The whole world looked brighter. As Brianna walked through the airport, pulling her suitcase behind her, she thought about her mama back in Georgia. Her mama, who had worked 2 jobs to give Brianna a better life. Her daddy, who had fixed cars until his hands hurt. She couldn't wait to tell them. She couldn't wait to share this miracle. But most of all, she thought about what she would do with this gift, how she would use it, who she would help, because Colonel Patterson was right. This wasn't just about her. This was about continuing a cycle of kindness. This was about lifting others the way she had been lifted. Brianna made a promise to herself right there in the California airport. Someday, when she had money and success, she would do the same thing. She would find someone who showed kindness without expecting anything back. And she would change their life too. She would pay it forward. For the colonel, for Dorothy, for everyone who had ever helped her along the way. And it all started with one simple choice on an airplane. One moment of seeing someone who needed help and deciding to help them. That's all it took. One choice. 5 minutes. One seat. Sometimes the smallest acts create the biggest miracles. Brianna smiled through her tears. She pulled out her phone and typed an email back to Colonel Patterson. Dear Colonel Patterson, I don't have fancy words. I'm not good at expressing big feelings. But I need you to know something. You changed my life today. You and Dorothy. You showed me that goodness matters. That kindness isn't weak. It's powerful. I accept your gift with a humble heart and a grateful spirit. I promise to work harder than I've ever worked. I promise to use this opportunity to help others. I promise to honor Dorothy's memory by being the kind of person who lifts others up. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for reminding me that dreams really can come true. I hope I made Dorothy proud today. I hope I make you both proud every day from now on. With all my love and gratitude, Brianna Johnson. P.S. I think Dorothy would have loved you too. She pressed send. Then Brianna Johnson walked out of the airport and into her new future, a future made possible by kindness, generosity, and the simple act of giving up a seat. What did you think of Brianna's story? If this touched your heart, please like this story, share it with friends and family, and subscribe for more inspiring tales that remind us why kindness matters. Drop a comment below telling us about a time when someone's kindness changed your life. Let's spread more goodness in the world together.